Hayden that's going to be with us. He's going to be teaching us all about this 2-for-1. And you haven't had a 2-for-1. Let me just tell you, it's pretty impressive when the listing agents they're like, you want to do what? I was like, yeah, that's right. We're going to do a 2-for-1. This is how we're going to make this thing work. And as long as your client is happy and our client is happy, are you all right with that? And that's part of our script that we're going to be sharing with you. Facebook world, thank you for being here this afternoon. So as we are waiting for people to join in, my name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. The other challenging thing is she is not with me right this second, but I have my daughter with me, Brielle. And because it's election day, they closed down the schools today. So she is with me, and her and I have been battling the spelling words. So she's not agreeing with the spelling words that I'm trying to have her do. So we've had that. You can see the whiteboard is in the back here. I can't even direct it. There it is. So that's been a little entertaining for me this afternoon, but we are going to get there. We are going to get there. I promise. So this is something that I know agents across this country are facing when buyers, there are 60,000, okay, 60,000 buyer applications left the desks of lenders across the country. And Hayden's going to be talking about this in a little bit, but this is becoming a problem because guess what? If there's no buyers, you can't put any offers on the table. And listings, your days on the market are going to increase. And what the buyers are saying across the country right now is saying the interest rates are going up. I'm going to wait. Why? Is because uncertainty makes people wait. That's just how it works. Uncertainty puts people in this position. And so Hayden is going to share with us some of the topics, some of the concepts of what we're going to be studying today and coaching you up on. So for those, before we get started, for those in Facebook world, feel free. For those that are your first time being on here in the Zoom world, put your name, put your contact information out there. Tell us where you're from, because this is a great area, a great time period to network, as well as maybe possibly referrals. Maybe you're from somebody's hometown. I'm from upstate New York, Binghamton, New York. So sometimes I meet people here from upstate New York. We have a team in upstate New York, so we can help you out, as well as there could be somebody else that might be like, oh, you're from, I don't know, Tallahassee, Florida. And there might be somebody else that's on here. But while we're doing that, Hayden, let's introduce you. We got to where are you from, buddy, and kind of what's going on. What are you seeing in the lending world on what's taking shape here to not scare people, but to share with people what you're seeing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, first things first. A couple of things. So I'm getting over a cold from last week. So if I sound a little nasally or sound a little hoarse, just bear with me for the time being. But yeah, so I'm from the Charlotte area, and that's where I live and was born and raised and work and everything like that. We're certainly seeing a lot of changes in the mortgage world, and with these rising rates, it's obviously change the way we need to approach conversation with buyers, and also explore other products and things like that that can help out clients, in the current market that we're going through right now. And for the purpose of this, for this whole webinar, is the buy downs are a popular product that is being discussed a lot, and can certainly be a almost like the perfect happy medium between buyers and sellers. If you were to explore those options and kind of see, what they can do for your clients going forward. But yeah, that's the brief spiel about me. So yeah, with Fairway Independent Mortgage. So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and licensed in North and South Carolina.
So what we want you guys to do, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have a question, guys, this is only like 30 minutes. We pretty much try to cram a lot of information down your throats, and that's just as nice as I possibly can say it, because we want to be able to give you information, and you want to move on throughout your day. Okay, Facebook world, you can only put in messages on the chat. Zoom world, you can actually undo your microphones and share with us. If you got a question or if you need to stop us, by all means, put it in the chat, put something out there so that way we know. And we want to make this as practical as possible, meaning we want to take the exact concepts, the challenges that we are in the business. Okay. A lot of people say, Brock, does all you do is coach now? No, I'm literally still in the business. And this is not to impress you by any means, but I'll do personally right around $20 million in sales while I'm still managing coaching, traveling, and running my two little kids all over the place. So I'm literally taking what the chaos is going on. I had one client recently that it was a buyer meltdown. Okay. Hayden helped me with another buyer meltdown. If you are literally in the business, working on the business, the buyer market is very, very, very challenging right now. They scrutinize every little thing. Buyers are completely concerned. Guys, the interest rates aren't going away. I just got some news from one of the people who are CFO from, I don't know. They could be making it up, but guess what? He said to me that out of the 4 last times he says the feds were increasing the rates, guess what happened? The rates increased. And they're saying anywhere from 3/4 of a point to 1.5 points by next spring. So if you're not in a position to get yourself ready to rock and roll and to be able to understand how to be, because buyers are still going to buy. Okay. Sellers are still going to sell. I just want my name attached to the commission check in order for me to survive and pay for my kids. Hayden wants to be on the commission check for him to earn his commission. And how many of you want to do the same thing? I'm pretty sure a lot of you, yeah, Braden's raising your hand. For those of you who aren't scared and okay to be on the video, I'm sure some of you want to raise your hand too. And it's okay to be on video. We will not get upset with you for those on video. We actually like to see smiling faces, but it's important that you guys understand. So Hayden, take me through the first topic. I wrote down here, what does the temporary interest rate lockdown mean? And basically the other question that I want you to answer for us here. Okay. There's 2 parts, Hayden. What does it mean when somebody says, I just did one with one of my mentees, hey, try to do 2-for-1 buy down. Okay. Negotiate the rate. She's like, Brock, I don't understand. I said, you need to be at this course. You need to listen into this because this is what Hayden taught me. But the other thing is, how much money does it cost? How much money should I be negotiating? Because hell, we weren't even able to negotiate like closing costs for sellers. They'd be like, they go give us the middle finger and tell us to go fly a kite about 6 months ago, 9 months ago. And now we can actually negotiate with them. And we're going to take care of you sellers. Don't worry. We're going to tell you why this is good for you too. But tell us a little bit about the interest rate buy down, what it means, and then give us an example of how much that costs for like 300,000.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the buy down is a product out there, and we talk about the 2-1. That's probably the most popular one. But there's also a 1-0 buy down, meaning that you're just buying down the interest rate for the first 12 months of the payment. 2-1 means that you're going to be doing it for 24 months. And then we actually just rolled out about a week and a half ago, a 3-2-1 buy down. So, there is even options there and some flexibility if you've got somebody that you're negotiating with to work in 3 years worth of buying down the interest rate. But essentially how it works is,
wait a minute. So how do you do the 3? What's the 3-2-1? Because I'm making notes here. 3 years. What?
Yeah. So it'll be over 3 years. So the 3-2-1 is going to be the first 12 payments. You're going to be making payments as if your interest rate was 3% lower than where the current market is at right now. So just to make for simple, numbers sake, let's say the market rate is at 7% right now. That means the first 12 months is going to be at 4%. The following 12 months after that, you're going to be making payments at 5%. And then the last 12 months after that, to complete that 36-month cycle, you're going to be making payments at a 1% lower interest rate. And the cost, when you're trying to figure out, what is that going to cost the sellers if we're to negotiate this and everything, is going to be that difference in payment over that length of time. So the option that I have written down right now, and I apologize, Brock, I know you mentioned the 3-2-1, but this is for a 2-1 scenario. But
no, that's fine. I just and I'll explain to you guys why I asked him that question specifically in a script, but still stay with the 2-for-1. Sorry, I got
absolutely, all good. So let's just assume the scenario of a $300,000 mortgage. Purchase price can be $325,000, $350,000, whatever. But let's just use a $300,000 mortgage. If you did a 2-1 buy down right now, the difference in your mortgage payment for the first 12 months, you'll be making that payment as if you're at a 5% interest rate. And the difference is about a savings of $386 a month. So over the first 12 months of that 2-1 buy down, keeping in mind this is going to be for the first 2 years, you're going to be saving roughly $4,600 in interest. For the remaining 12 months, you'll be making payments as if your interest rate is at 6%. So just 1% lower than that 7% market rate. And the difference, or I should say the savings that you're receiving there, are roughly $200 a month. From 7% to 6%. So over 12 months, you're looking at $2,400 worth in savings for that remaining period. So when you put all that together, you get roughly $7,000 in total costs that will need to be paid upfront at closing to cover the expense for doing the buy down option. Obviously, those numbers will change depending on, purchase prices. Well, not necessarily purchase price, but the loan amount. So what I would offer.
Can we hold on a second here? Because people really have to understand this. Society, guys, makes up the S and the C. I studied the disc personalities left and right. 62% of society is going to eat this up if you are trying to convert buyers right now. So you need to make sure that you understand this, because when the buyer says, I'm going to wait right now, I'm not too sure, the rates are too high, you want to be able to explain this. So I got to ask again to make sure that I understand this, because they are not going to wait either. Okay. Part of society is we are a light switch society. How many of us get pissed when the internet goes off? Oh my God. Did the internet go off? We're going around the office. We're trying, is your internet off? Is your internet off? How about you? Do you have any, like, we go crazy. So when people says, and you're talking to this is why it's so important, Hayden. I didn't want to cut you off, but for those that are taking notes, I'm telling you right now, this will happen to you when you need to understand, hey, listen, buyer, I got a 2-for-1 buy down. I'm not going to get into the 3-2-1 buy down, but I got one of those options too. But I need you to understand, we got some tactics here and some strategies that we can do right now. The days on the market are increasing. The due diligence is far lower than it was this summer. And let me share with you this 2-for-1 buy down, how I can save you money and what this is going to cost. About $7,000. I'm going to get it from the seller. What do you think about going back to looking at those searches now in your homes? What do you think they're going to say to you? Whoa, Brock, explain that to me again. It's set at fast pace on purpose to draw their attention. And then I'm going to explain it because we are a knee-jerk light switch society. And this is the part that I need to make sure that I understand. So why I'm asking Hayden to explain this again was the vision of the script of what I'm telling you, what happens in the real world. So a 2-for-1 buy down for 24 months, they are going to pay how much less? Like 2% less, did you say, or 1% less?
Yeah. So the first 12 months are going to be 2% lower than the market rate. So once again, if we're talking about a market rate at 7%, first 12 months will be at 5% interest rate. The remaining 12 months will be at a 6% interest rate.
Okay. So 2% less the first 24 months, and then 1% after that. Okay. For the next, and then it's going to go, what's it going to go? Go back to the whatever the prime is, or whatever.
Yeah.
Rates
so it'll revert back to wherever that market rate was.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you the question, Hayden, because if you're not thinking this, guys, I need you to be thinking at this high level for me here. Well, what happens if it's at 9%? Like, what are we going to do? Like, I don't want to pay 9%, Hayden. How would you respond to that, Hayden?
Well, so you would get locked in wherever the market rate is at right now. Are you talking about in terms of, if rates go up between now and
in the year 3?
Right. Yeah. So it'll only revert back up to 7%. So getting locked in right now still protects you from any more kind of volatility that you may see in the market with rising rates and everything like that.
Ding, 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 ding. That's the key thing, guys, because guess what? An analytical person is going to ask you that question. And what happens if it goes? Well, it's just going to stay at the lock rate of what we are today. And guess what they're projecting the market to do? Continue to grow up, right? I mean, it's showed it in the last 6 to 9 months. It's going to continue to go in this pattern. Okay. So this is how I'm going to protect you, is it's going to be locked in at the rate today. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So, the most simple way to look at the buy down option is you're really just paying for that interest up front to give you that temporary relief. Once again, if you're doing a 1-year option, a 2-year option, or a 3-year option for that.
So guess what the next question is? You told me $7,000. Is that correct? Is that what's like the going rate if somebody wants to buy a $600,000 home compared to 200,000? Like, is there a set each $100,000? How much should I expect to tell a buyer?
Yeah, so it really is going to fluctuate a bit. I believe the numbers that I did on my end, you're kind of coming out to about anywhere from like 200 to 300 in difference in that monthly payment for every 100,000. But still, even then, there could be some differences. And what I would suggest, if anybody has access to like a mortgage calculator, or they could even use my own website, which is just homeswithhayden.com. You can kind of go in and play with those numbers and say, okay, this is where, this is what the difference in savings would be on a $300,000 mortgage, or not. Maybe I've got another client that is looking at a, $500,000 mortgage. What are those numbers going to look like? And you can very simply just kind of plug in those numbers just to see what those difference in payments are. And then once again, it's just a matter of finding that difference, the savings per month, and then you just add it up for the year. And once again, if you're doing a 1-0, a 1-0 buy down, you would just do it for the 12 months. If you're doing a 2-1 buy down, then you would do it for the 24-month period. And then, same thing, rinse and repeat if you were to be looking at a 3-2-1 option at that point.
And why, guys, there's 3 different strategies he just gave you. And when you're having these conversations, how many of you, show me hands, give me a thumbs up, do me something. In the last 6 to 9 months, how many of you had a buyer who has ghosted you all of a sudden? Does anybody have a buyer that's ghosted you? I mean, Braden's giving me a thumbs up. Hayden's giving me a thumb. Who else? I gotta move my camera around. Anybody else? Karen does. Who else? Is it Bronco? Did I say that right? Branko's giving me his heads up. He's shaking his head. Heather's shaking his head. I got a couple people on Facebook giving me some thumbs up. Okay. So this has happened to you. This is a perfect script that you can do when we end at 1:45. At 1:47, you can go and text them and say, hey, I have a 3-2-1. I also have a 2-1 and a 1-0 plan. I just got done learning from this coach that just shared with me. I think I need to talk to you about. I think this could take care of your challenge, your problem that you have. Do you have time later today to talk for about 5-10 minutes? Guys, this will get people off the little wagon to be able to have conversation. Even if they tell you to go fly a kite, at least you're touching them. They might tell you something about what's going on in their life. Like, oh gosh, that sounds terrible. Or man, this is a perfect opportunity for you because of this. So in your scenario, in this 2-to-1 buy down on a $300,000 home here, Hayden, would you be, and I always strongly suggest you call your lender. So in my case, I'm calling Hayden. I'm like, Hayden, what should I be negotiating with this seller? Is it $7,000? Is that the number? What you're telling me right here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what I would do is find out, what's going to cover the buy down at that point. So 7,000 would be the number to go for if you're looking to have all of that covered by the sellers.
So guys, when you're having conversations with the seller, and I think one of the topics that we talked about, how the temporary interest rate can help both buyers and sellers in this current market. Hayden, based off of what you tell me, how is this helping a seller now?
Yeah. So, obviously in the current market, you've got buyers that are really on the fence because of the higher interest rates. And then you may even have sellers that are on the fence because they may be saying, I don't want to have to, do a $50,000, price reduction, or excuse me, price improvement, Brock. I know you like to use that term. But yeah, to lower the sales price. And, what the buyer is really saying to the sellers is, look, we're not, trying to be rude and really lowball you on this, but, we just don't want to be spending a lot of money, and have a much higher mortgage payment with the higher interest rates. So the temporary buy down option it's just a product out there at your guys' disposal to explain like, hey, look, we can help, give you some relief temporarily, until these interest rates start to come down, in which case you can always look to refinance at that point in time. But what it also does with the sellers is, maybe instead of lowball, if we're talking about like a $50,000, lowball, on whatever purchase price you want to use, maybe finding that happy middle where you can kind of have that conversation with the listing agent and the sellers to say, look, we'll come up on our offer, but we're going to need this in seller concessions because we're looking to do the buy down option. And a quick side note, this is, a personal situation that I literally just ran into maybe the past couple of weeks, but I've spoken to several listing agents who are saying like, yeah, we're listing our home and we're willing to pay the buy down fees, whatever it may be for buyers. So I'm not sure if that is something that everybody on this call is seeing right now, but it is definitely picking up a lot of momentum and it's becoming more popular. So once again, it's just ways on the listing side, if you're looking to help buyers out and once again, try to renegotiate maybe what you would call or consider a low ball coming from a potential buyer, and kind of using this product once again, not just for the sake of the buyers and lowering their payment, but also to help out on the listing side from these more massive price improvements and things like that.
So you said it perfectly. And so like, I'm like the color of like the announcers on when we're watching football. He's the analytical guy. I'm like the color guy over here. And so I'm going to share with you. See, what happens is when a seller right now wants to get their highest price, that's where they're at. I call FSBOs all the time, expireds all the time. Expireds are not very good right now just because they're a little upset about their home prices. They're like, I thought I could get it. My neighbor got it. And now they're like, I missed the boat. I'm not doing it. They're all frustrated. Okay. And so what I'm seeing take place, and Alexis, Wendy's daughter, her and I were just talking about a deal yesterday, and she was talking about how she's going to make this offer, what it looks like. What we're seeing, you have a very, very good opportunity to help both parties. The book 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, talks about one of them, the best ways to stay in a really, really effective position is to create win-win positions. How many of you, show me your hands, give me your thumbs up, how many of you like to be in a win-win position? How many of you like to be in a win-win situation? How many? Because if you don't, there's probably some challenges that we really need to talk to, because everybody wants to be in a win-win position. It's the best position to be in. And that's what he statistically found out, that if you can create win-win situations, your conversion is much, much higher than anything else. Okay. And in this position here, when you go to a listing agent and you say, listen, I got it. Here's my script. Listing agent, I just want you to know I'm trying to create a win-win situation here. And here's what I'm thinking. Okay. And I told this to Alexis. I was just like, you got to look at the net number and you got to see what your buyer wants. So in this case here, the buyer wanted some closing costs. Well, do we want closing costs or we want a buy down? So in this situation here, I bring Hayden in and I take it by situation basis. That's why I love talking to Hayden. Hayden, this is what I got. This is what I'm dealing with. Every time there's a problem, Hayden and I pick up the phone and we have a talk. Okay. It's the best way to communicate. It's the best way to figure out how you're going to get through this. So in this situation, when you're negotiating, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, do you want your rate a little bit lower? How would you like that? Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, the house just hit the market or whatever it might be with the listing side. The listings right now pretty much know the chances of them getting multiple offers and over asking price, those days are gone. Would you all agree? Okay, we're not now. Somebody's going to say, "Well, Brock, I seen this one." Yes, I know. There's going to be a couple out there. Okay, that do exist, but for majority of it, the days on the market are increasing. Interest rates are increasing and multiple offers are decreasing and sellers are having to negotiate. So we still know the appraisal values are still going to be there because of lack of inventory, right, Hayden? I mean, our appraisal price, you correct me if I'm wrong. Our appraisal price is still coming in pretty decent.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I haven't had an appraisal conflict in quite some time. I had appraisal conflicts about a year ago, 9 months ago, because the market was still catching up. But the market is when you do an appraisal, are you looking in the future? Or are you looking at past prices, Hayden?
Looking at the past prices.
And guess where the past was, guys? Was it better or worse than we are today? It was better. The market was better then. The home prices were skyrocketing. I mean, I would put in offers. I'd be like, there's no way to appraise. Hey, congratulations, Brock, it appraised. I'm like, I have no idea how the hell that appraised, but great. Thank you. Okay. So the appraisals aren't the problem. It's the buyer's confidence that's the problem with their interest rates. So if I can create, hey, seller, I'm going to come in at full asking price, but I need 10 grand. Instead of coming 10 grand off of the price, I'm going to take $10,000 and I need it for closing costs and buy down for my rate to make my buyer in a great position. I mean, somebody's going to negotiate with you now. Instead of dealing with both the price and closing costs, I'm just going to give you your price. I'm not worried about appraisal, but I need to get my interest rates to where I need to get them to help my buyer. I don't know about you, Hayden, but doesn't that sound like a win-win?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's exactly what, here at Fairway with our branch and myself, that's what we try to coach every client and every agent that I speak with, when it comes to this product is that in this current market that we're in, it really is finding that perfect balance between buyers and sellers. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing is just knowing that it is an option out there to use. So if you're facing those objections, once again, if it's on the buyer side or seller side, this is something just to kind of bring up and throw back at them and say, as Brock put it, what if I can lower your rate? What if we can work on that? And then once again, we know interest rates, inflation is going to stop at some point, and it's already started to moderate a bit. And then once it starts to reverse its course, you're going to see those interest rates start to come down, and then you can always just refinance at that point in time. So, but it's just all about coaching and having those conversations and advising your clients and letting them know what different options are out there for them.
A lot of times agents, we're not educating them. We're not coaching them up. We're not teaching them. We just go in because we don't know. Well, you don't know if you don't know. And this is why this is so important, is to understand that. And it's 1:30. So I want to make sure that we get to the third and final point here, or education piece. Okay. Because I really don't even know this answer. I don't know it. And that's why I was like, I'm excited to hear this answer. And so the question is interest rate buy down. And somebody might be like, Brock, that's so easy. I'm like, well, this is why I'm asking. I'm one of the dumb ones. I don't know. Interest rate buy down versus buying points. Like, what is the difference on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you buy points, you're paying a one-time fee at closing to the investor to lower your interest rate permanently. So that's an option that is out there. If you've got a client that has DTI issues and whatnot, you may want to look at buying points and things like that. But it's a one-time payment. And then if you ever refinance, if you haven't recouped the money that you saved with paying extra fees at closing to lower your interest rate, if you go to refinance, you don't get any of that money back. So all of that is gone, which is another reason. And we haven't even touched up on this yet, but with the buy down options, whatever is not used. So, if we're talking about the $7,000, if you're going into the second year and then you refinance because rates have dropped and you still have about $1,500 or $2,000 left on your in the buy down escrow, that'll get reapplied to the principal balance of your mortgage. So that, the buy down option, once again, in this current market, is just the best way to make any kind of seller concessions be the most impactful for your buyers going forward. So you just got to think about it. With a buy down, you're paying that interest up front. You're permanently, not permanently, you're temporarily lowering that payment for a certain amount of time. And then points, you're just permanently lowering that interest rate, which you typically only see points really being charged in two scenarios, which is one, if a client has to pay points to get a lower rate to get their DTI within a certain threshold, or two, points are very popular, when rates are at the opposite end of the spectrum. So when they're at 2-3%, and then buyers are starting to hedge the market a little bit and saying, I don't think rates are going to go much lower. Or if they do, it won't be too much lower. So I'm okay with paying a little bit more to get that lower rate because I probably won't, refinance it or touch it for quite some time. Right now, it's the opposite. We know interest rates will start to come down at some point. So you really want to protect yourself from excessive fees paying at closing. But once again, if you're receiving seller concessions and you're trying to use that money to the best of its advantage right now in this current market, that would be through the buy down options.
Mm-hmm. So my head's spinning about 100 miles an hour because I'm thinking of scenarios. I'm thinking of ways how to script this. I'm thinking of ways to how to have conversations with people because buyers will buy. So my brain's like, okay, how many scenarios can I create to be able to put ourselves in this position? Because I'm pretty sure on here, nobody's going to get upset that if a buyer calls you out of the blue and says, hey, I'm really interested, but a buddy of mine told me about there's different rates out there, but I really don't know. Do you have any idea? Because I'd like to buy. You're not going to say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to explain that to you. I'm going golfing. Sorry, I don't have time. Like we want to put ourselves in a position to be educated to help buyers out there right now to be able to get them off the fence, take them off the couch and say, come on, let's go. And so the buy down that you saw, the buying points, that's really not making too much sense right now. Okay. Is that what I'm hearing? I just want to make sure I get clarity.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best for what's going on in the market.
Once again, if somebody does not have to buy points right now for those DTI restrictions, I personally would not be advising that because it's just going to be money down the drain when you turn around to refinance.
Yet the interest rate buy down is what we're talking about, and that's what we want them to do.
Absolutely. And once again, in a 2-1 buy down scenario or even a 3-2-1 over 3 years, if you refinance in the middle of that, whatever funds were not used will go back to the principal balance. So the money is always going to be working for you one way or the other.
So key ingredients, and I know there's a couple questions that I got in the chat. We will answer these questions here very shortly. And for those in Facebook world or on here on Zoom, please add your questions right now because we're going to go through them. Okay. Takeaways that Brock learned that I'm going to apply to the real world. You need to understand, and I'm going to be point blank. I'm going to be talking about, hey, we have options of a 3-2-1 buy down, a 2-1 buy down, and a 1-0 buy down. Okay, these are some things. Has anybody else talked to you about this? I asked that question specifically. Has anybody else talked about this? Because I want them to say no. That is exactly why I'm doing it. This is a purposeful question. Has anybody else talked about this? I want them to say no. And if they do say it, well, Brock Williams, if they say it, great. Have they explained it to you? Can you explain it to me then? And if they can't regurgitate it back to me, then my job is to explain it better than the other person. So that way I sound more intelligent. That's basically how I handle those objections. Have you ever heard of this? Have you heard 3-2-1, 2-1, 2-0, 1-0? Have you heard about those? Oh, you haven't. Okay, let me explain to you and why it's important. Oh, you have? Okay, maybe you can explain because I'm just trying to learn it right now. Could you explain it to me? Oh, you can't? Well, let me just see if I can explain it to you a little bit better then. Okay, that's done purposeful. Okay, because that's what I just learned today is the different strategies. Next thing is I'm calling Hayden and asking him, so when you get yourself in this position, don't go out on a limb and try to explain it. Whether it's Hayden, another lender that you work with, this is the key ingredient that's going to help you get buyers off the couch. Secondly, I know how much I need to negotiate. I'm automatically, so maybe this could answer some of the questions I see in chat. I'm pretty much going to be asking $7,000 to $10,000 in seller concessions. Is it fair to say, Hayden, that most seller concessions can't be more than 3% of the purchase price?
Yeah. So on a conventional loan, if you're putting down less than 10% for the down payment, it cannot be more than 3% of the purchase price that you're receiving in seller concessions. So for the sake of the buy down, the 1-0 buy down and the 2-1 buy down, I've ran through plenty of scenarios with this. You never run into an issue there. Where you might run into an issue is with 3-2-1 buy down. In which case, if it is a conventional purchase and they're putting less than 10% down, you're only going to be able to use up to 3% of the purchase price for the sake of seller concessions. If it's over 10%, then you can go up to 6%. of the purchase price, in which case you'll never run into an issue there with the 3-2-1 option at that point.
So key notes to take away, pretty much on average, I take the purchase price 3%. I try not to go above that. And that's where I'm usually going the high end for negotiating seller concessions. And I'm negotiating seller concessions on every single deal. Every deal has seller concessions right now. I'm asking for it. Okay. Because I know sellers are struggling, and also sellers are nervous about waiting to go through the holidays because they don't want to wait 60 to 90 days. That's what they're looking at right now, because most people don't want to buy during Thanksgiving and Christmas. I take advantage of the situation. I take advantage of the season, and that's why I'm going after seller concessions. Now, Braden's got his hand up. So Braden, I'm going to, what's your question, Braden?
So, I was talking with Hayden on the phone earlier about a client of mine that's working with him. And so I was talking with that client. I'm actually meeting with him in about 35 minutes to talk about this. And one of his concerns was, do you need to get any kind of commitment from the lender to get a 2-1 buy down? Is there any more of a process, or if you're already pre-approved, is it just something, it's a phone call and I get it? The reason he's concerned with that is because if they offer over a certain price, they're going to want, it'll be contingent on them being able to have that buy down for the first year. So that will kind of determine in which ranges they can offer if they can go a little bit over their budget with a 2-1 or a 3-2-1 buy down. So how do I explain that, and what is the process there in them making sure that they have that available to them at closing? And is there any confirmation that can be given to them so they're confident that that's going to be provided for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So just so you know, with the buy down, even though you've got that temporary relief for, once again, if it's a year, 2 years, or 3 years, you still have to qualify for the mortgage at that full note rate wherever we're at. So once again, if we're at 7%, they're still being pre-approved at that amount. So, you know, what I would say is that it really just comes down to being able to utilize the buy down program is something I would be wanting to see if we can negotiate that with the sellers to try to, once again, find that happy medium, meet in the middle. Or maybe you do go in at what they're asking for, but then you ask for, 7,000 in seller concessions. But there's no extra process or anything like that. It's all based off the full note rate anyways. So if they qualify, if they're pre-approved up to 300,000, there's no additional checks or anything like that. That'll, if they're looking in their approved amount range.
So when it came down to it, we would just let you know, okay, they would like to use this program of the 3-2-1, 2-1, or 1-0. And here's, we've got it on the contract. It's showing, we've been able to negotiate that amount from the seller. That's where it's going to come from. And we just go from there. Yeah,
exactly. So the contract, hypothetically speaking, you get them under contract and they've got seller concessions for $7,000, $8,000, however much it is. We'll just apply that to whatever the fees and the costs are going to be for the buy down. So that's exactly how it would work in that scenario.
Okay, perfect.
But yes, it's not as if they need to get reapproved for a buy down or anything like that. Because once again, you're already going off of the market rate, which is hopefully what loan officers are getting people pre-approved for, not 4% interest rate, but going off of that. So yeah, you shouldn't run into any issues there. It's really just more of a negotiating piece and how much you can get in seller concessions. And then once again, does the buyer want to use that to lower the payment temporarily, or do they want to use it for closing costs? So once again, I'll reiterate it again. It's just another option out there to navigate these waters with higher payments due to interest rates and whatnot. But I'll be honest with you, I can't say that the majority of my clients are still using or they're not using the buy down options, right? If they're getting seller concessions, maybe they're just using it to, for closing costs, because at the end of the day, they're actually still comfortable with the payment. They may not like the interest rates, but they understand, we get locked in here. That's fine. We'll make the payments. When they come down, we can always refinance at that point. So that's part of like this, situation by situation scenario that Brock was talking about earlier. But once again, it's just an option out there if you are facing some of those objections from buyers with higher interest rates.
One of the things I'll add, those taking notes, write this down. Don't complicate it. Complication makes people reserve. So when we talk about the 3-2-1, the 2-1, the 1-0, a lot of things start going on in people's heads. So when they're filling out the application, just tell them like, listen, while you're filling this out, I'm going to work some scenarios with Hayden on the 3-2-1, the 2-1, and the 1-0. It doesn't change your application. Okay. But I'm going to be working on the back end to see what type of angles we can do to help you get the best rate at the best price and see if we can get the seller to pay for it. See, then they feel like you're working in the background for them and they get to focus on their job and they don't have to do anything different. It's kind of like why people are asking, Brock, you're doing a lot of coaching. I'm doing this stuff anyways. I have to make phone calls anyways. I might as well just let you in and see what I'm doing. And it helps promote my coaching program, but I'm doing it anyways. So it's not really that complicated. And that's what you want to create inside of their mind. I need you to just fill this out. It's the same exact paperwork, same exact thing. I'm going to be working on the back end to help you get the best rate, the best deal, the best thing possible. Okay, great. I'll talk to you in about an hour. See, then it makes people feel at ease. So real quick, we got about 2 more minutes left. Another question is here for you, Hayden. And for those that want to stay on, ask us more questions. Great. And those that got to go, we want to be protective of your time period. So one of the questions is there a general way to calculate how long before you break even with a temporary buy down?
Yeah. So once again, this kind of goes back to the whole temporary buy down versus the buying point scenario. So the temporary buy down, there really isn't any break even because the money that you're getting, you're paying it straight to the mortgage payment. I mean, it's coming off dollar for dollar. You know, if you're getting $7,000 worth in seller concessions and you're using that for the buy down, you're going to be, I mean, that for dollar, that's $7,000 worth of savings throughout. If it's a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year period, whatever it may be. Whereas with points, that's where it's a little bit different, where somebody may just be paying, I don't know, let's just say for simple numbers sake, $1,000 at closing, but it only lowers their payment by $10. Then that's when you have, what would be 100-month break even, and that's where you try to find that break even and see, if those numbers make sense at that point. But with the buy down, there really isn't a break even. It's just it's money being applied straight to the mortgage payment to give you that temporary relief, and then once again, if you were to refinance before that period is up, the remaining balance is going to be applied straight to the principal balance of the mortgage.
And remember, you're asking the seller to pay for this. So it's like when you go to the store and you want to buy something, it's like, hey, it doesn't cost you anything because we're asking somebody, we're asking mom and dad to pay for it. Hey, can you pay for this? Because I want this. And we're asking the seller to pay down that temporary rate. And remember, guys, it's even if you did 3 years or 2 years, the market is not going to continuously stay this way, just like the market didn't stay the same exact way. Home prices couldn't go up. I mean, they're not going to go up for 10 years in a row. Eventually that's going to change, and eventually things take place and things become different, just like the market is going to shift again. We could be in a different world in 2 or 3 years. Who knows? But what we can do today to get you to take advantage of some of these opportunities, this is what we can do, because people are getting divorced. People are having families. People need to downsize. People are upsizing. People need to relocate. Those things aren't changing. Okay. I have more expireds and FSBOs on my list on a daily basis, and people are still doing things. Okay. Hayden, anything I missed in conclusion, buddy?
No, I think we covered pretty much the basics of it. The only thing I would add, Brock, I can't remember, was there an option where it's got like my contact information or something like that in case somebody wants to reach out and, discuss maybe another scenario or situation?
I was just going to put that out there, Hayden, but you have to do it in the chat for me.
Okay.
If you can put in your contact information, if you want to talk to Hayden, okay, if you want to go through scenarios and you want to go, see, I'm a football coach, guys. So like, I'm always doing adjustments. I'm always doing like, hey, what do you think about this, Hayden? What do you think about this? Like, oh, this didn't work. How about this? Can we do this? I'm constantly, and when we're in the prime, Hayden's like, oh gosh, Brock's calling again. And I will give you this. Hayden will freaking answer his phone. I love that. Like, I just love people answer their phone. You don't have to answer 24/7, but during working hours, like I appreciate somebody who answers their phone. And so He's got his cell phone in there. You could text him. He's got his website in there. What's your email, Hayden? Don't forget to put that in there
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So get your email in there. Ask him the questions on the three. Maybe you got a buyer consultation coming up. Maybe you got a couple buyers that were on the fence. I'm dealing with one now that still is thinking he hates me, but he still talks to me because he was mad because I told him he was going to have to put 45. You guys remember those days? $45,000 due diligence. Yeah. If you don't put 45,000, you're not going to get this home. Like they looked at me with four heads. I mean, 75,000 in due diligence, $25,000 in due diligence. Hayden, have you seen anything like that since summer? Do you see that anymore?
No, not at all. I mean, we're like back to normal.
Yeah, that's what you need to be teaching people, coaching people, putting on your Facebook. Guys, I just went to a coaching event. Wow, it's crazy. The market really is going back to normal. If you were scared about it, let me just tell you, let me share with you this. I use it all the time. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to share with you. It's one of my lines I use. All right. In the chat, if you have some more questions or anything else, you can reach out to Hayden. I got a couple of events that are taking place. If you want to be part of the Powers Players program, that is in there. But the two big ones next week, Tuesday, I'm doing a special one. Expect to win. Expect to win. That's the mindset that you have to have these next 2 or 3 months. Expect to win. Expect to convert. It is on there. You can check out the events that we have on part of the Power Players. I got the holiday handlers once again. And then we also have next week on the 17th, if you like what we say, on the 17th, we're going to be at Port City. You can literally see me face to face instead of Zoom. We're going to be doing 11:30 to 3 o'clock. There's going to be a lunch. I'm going to give you, I don't have my planner with me. I always tell people I have my planner with me all the time, and I don't have it because I had it over there with Brielle. But you're going to get literally my exact calendar that I use. You're going to get exactly the information of Wendy and I. We're at Grove Park, and she really loved it. We spent the whole day, instead of doing something nice, we mastermind and plan my entire 2023 plan, my success plan. If you want to be able to take that and put it into your business, sign up bz3.com. We're going to be at North Harbor Club. Love to be able to have you for there. Hayden, brother, man, I appreciate you being here today. Guys, give us a thumbs up. Give us something on Facebook. If you liked what we said, give us some hearts, give us some loves, give us a comment in there, because, it's hard to engage in Zoom as we are in the classroom. So we'd love to be able to see any comments or feedback of what you guys liked with it. And come back to us. Join us again every Monday, every morning. We're doing something. But Hayden, man, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And thank you to everybody who was able to make it. So I greatly appreciate it.
And for those that watch the recording, thank you so much. Feel free to ask us questions. You can continue to ask us questions. We know we do it in the beginning of the day. So sometimes in the later part, in the evening, you got questions, post it on there, put it on the Facebook group. Let us know what we got. Put us in the chats. So thank you all, guys. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you all. Guys, make something happen. Call your buyers. Put it in a text. Reach out to them. What are you going to do this afternoon? Try to get a buyer this afternoon. How about that? So, guys, appreciate you all. Looking forward to talking to you. And hopefully you see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks, Hayden.